The massive ship materialized at the edge of the solar system, with all the subtlety of a new constellation appearing overnight. Astronomers worldwide first dismissed the readings as equipment malfunction. After all, nothing could be that big. But as confirmation came in from observatories across the globe, humanity faced an undeniable truth. We were no longer alone. Dr. Sarah Chen, Chief Economic Advisor to the UN Security Council, stood at her office window in Geneva, watching military jets patrol the unusually empty skies. The alien vessel had maintained its position beyond Mars orbit for 3 days, broadcasting a single message in perfect English. The Galactic Trade Federation brings prosperity to all. We come to negotiate. Her secure phone buzzed. They're ready for you in the chamber, her assistant said quietly. The Federation's representatives had finally arrived. 3 beings that looked almost, but not quite, human sat across the negotiating table in the UN's secure underground chamber. Their spokesperson, who called himself Trade Commissioner Nexus, smiled with too many teeth. "We've studied your world extensively," Nexus said, his voice carrying an artificial smoothness. "Such potential, yet held back by technological limitations. The Federation can change that overnight." Sarah watched the aliens' golden eyes, noting how they never quite focused on any one person. She'd spent her career analyzing human negotiation tactics. Now those skills were being tested on an interstellar scale. "Your offer is generous," Secretary General Martinez responded carefully. "But we'll need specifics." Nexus gestured and holographic displays materialized above the table. Advanced fusion technology. Medical breakthroughs that would double your lifespans. FTL travel capabilities. Each image more tantalizing than the last. All we ask in return are reasonable resource rights, a mere 15% of your planet's raw materials over the next century. Sarah's tablet quietly processed numbers as the alien spoke. Something wasn't adding up. "Commissioner," she interrupted, earning a sharp look from Martinez, "could you clarify the terms of these resource rights?" The alien's smile widened fractionally. "Of course. The Federation would have priority access to extracted materials, with fair market compensation provided. And this market value would be set by Federation standards. Naturally, we have millennia of experience in fair trade practices." Sarah's fingers flew across her tablet. The Federation's representative kept talking, but she was already deep in the numbers. Years of analyzing developing nations' debt structures had taught her to spot predatory lending. This was the same game, just on a planetary scale. "Excuse me," she said again, this time pulling up her calculations on the main display. Based on standard resource appreciation rates and the Federation's own published conversion metrics, this deal would effectively bankrupt Earth within 50 years. The room fell silent. Nexus's smile didn't waver, but his golden eyes narrowed. "I assure you, our calculations are based on complex derivatives that obscure the true cost," Sarah continued. She highlighted specific clauses in the proposed contract. "These resource rights compound. Every extraction increases the Federation's claim percentage. By year 30, you'd own rights to nearly 60% of Earth's resources, not 15%. Martinez leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Is this true?" Dr. Chen's interpretation is creative, Nexus said smoothly. "But she lacks understanding of galactic economics. Perhaps we should continue this discussion with more qualified." "I have 14 advanced degrees in theoretical and practical economics," Sarah interrupted, "including 3 in systems I developed myself. Would you like to compare qualifications, Commissioner?" The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Nexus's human-like facade slipped for just a moment, revealing something ancient and cold beneath. "You should understand, Dr. Chen, that no civilization has ever rejected Federation membership. The benefits far outweigh any perceived costs." Sarah smiled for the first time since the meeting began. "Then you've never negotiated with humans before. Secretary General, I recommend we delay any decision until we can perform a full analysis of the Federation's economic history." "Agreed." Martinez nodded. Commissioner Nexus, we'll need time to review. The alien stood, its movements too smooth to be natural. Of course, but do not take too long. Such opportunities are finite. The threat in its voice was subtle but clear. After the Federation representatives departed, Sarah's tablet pinged with an urgent message. Her global network of economists and data analysts had been busy. They'd found something in the Federation's public records, a pattern of civilizations accepting similar deals, followed by systematic resource depletion. Hundreds of worlds, all now effectively owned by the Federation. But they'd also found something else. Buried in the data were hints of worlds that had somehow slipped through the Federation's grasp, places that had found another way. Sarah looked up at the Secretary General. Sir, I need unrestricted access to our quantum computing network. I think I found a weakness in their system, but we'll need to move fast. Martinez nodded grimly. Do it. And Dr. Chen, let's keep this quiet. I have a feeling the Federation doesn't like it when planets start asking too many questions. As she left the chamber, Sarah's mind was already racing with calculations. The Federation had brought their economic weapons to Earth, expecting another easy conquest. Instead, they'd found a civilization that had spent centuries perfecting the art of seeing through financial smokescreens. The game was on, and humanity was about to rewrite the rules of galactic trade. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, the quantum computing facility hummed with unprecedented activity. Dr. Sarah Chen hadn't left the complex in 3 weeks, her office walls now covered with holographic displays showing endless streams of economic data. The Federation's massive ship still loomed in space, a constant reminder of the deadline they faced. Another one, Sarah muttered, adding a red marker to the galactic map. Her team had identified yet another civilization that had fallen to the Federation's economic trap. The planet Kepler 447 bits, once rich in rare minerals, now a depleted husk serving as a cautionary tale. Dr. Chen. Her assistant's voice broke through her concentration. The briefing starts in 5 minutes. In the facility's main conference room, representatives from Earth's major financial institutions waited. Sarah took a deep breath, then dimmed the lights. What you're about to see is classified beyond top secret, she began, activating the central hologram. A complex web of transactions appeared, stretching across thousands of worlds. This is the true face of the Galactic Trade Federation. The room watched as she manipulated the display, highlighting specific patterns. They're running the largest pyramid scheme in the history of the universe. Each new civilization they absorb becomes collateral for recruiting the next. The resource rights they demand. They're not using them for production. They're using them as leveraged assets. The head of the World Bank leaned forward, but surely someone would have noticed. They did. Sarah pulled up another dataset. We found evidence of at least 7 civilizations that tried to expose the scheme. All of them mysteriously suffered economic collapses before they could act. She paused, letting that sink in. But they made one crucial mistake coming to Earth. She zoomed in on Earth's financial systems. They assumed we'd be like everyone else, desperate for advanced technology, willing to sign anything. They didn't realize we spent centuries developing defenses against exactly this kind of predatory behavior. The director of the International Monetary Fund spoke up. What are you proposing? Sarah's eyes gleamed. We're going to beat them at their own game. But I'll need complete cooperation from every financial institution on Earth. Over the next hour, she laid out her plan. It was audacious, perhaps even insane, but as the numbers flowed across the screens, even the most skeptical bankers began to nod in understanding. The Federation's power relied on complexity. Financial instruments so intricate that most civilizations couldn't comprehend them until it was too late. But humans had been dealing with complex derivatives and financial weapons since the 20th century. What looked like impenetrable genius to other worlds was, to Earth's economists, frighteningly familiar. The key is their liquidity ratio, Sarah explained, highlighting a particular set of transactions. They're leveraged beyond anything we've ever seen. One significant disruption in their asset flow, and the whole system collapses, finished the European Central Bank president. But won't that cause a galactic depression? Sarah shook her head. Not if we time it right and have an alternative ready. She brought up another display, this one showing the new economic model her team had developed. We call it the Terra Protocol, a transparent, blockchain-based trading system that could form the foundation of a new galactic economy. As the briefing concluded, Sarah received an urgent message. The Federation's ship had moved closer to Earth, and Commissioner Nexus was demanding an answer to their offer. They're getting nervous, she told Martinez over a secure line. They've never had a civilization take this long to respond. I think they're starting to realize we're not as primitive as they assumed. How much longer do you need? Sarah checked the quantum computer's progress. 3 days to finish modeling all possible outcomes. Then we can begin. You'll have it, Martinez assured her. The Security Council is fully backing your plan. Just be careful. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. That night, as Sarah finally allowed herself a few hours of rest, she thought about all the civilizations the Federation had destroyed. Their economic empire had seemed invincible to countless worlds, but they'd never faced a species that had turned finance into both an art and a weapon. In her dreams, she saw the Federation's complex web of transactions unraveling, replaced by something new, something fair. But first, they had to spring the trap. And the Federation was about to learn that when it came to economic warfare, humanity had written the book. As dawn broke over the Alps, Sarah returned to her office. The quantum computers had made a breakthrough in mapping the Federation's complete financial network. What they found confirmed her suspicions. The entire galactic economy balanced on a knife's edge. One push in the right place, and everything would change. The question was, would humanity be ready for what came after? Commissioner Nexus materialized in the UN chamber exactly 1 month after the Federation's arrival. His golden eyes swept the room, noting the unusual calm of the human delegates. Something had changed. Your evaluation period has ended, he announced. The Federation requires your answer. Sarah Chen stood, tablet in hand. Indeed, we've prepared our response. She activated the chamber's holographic display. But first, we'd like to discuss these. The display filled with transaction records, thousands of them, all bearing Federation codes. Nexus's artificial smile flickered. We've been busy, Sarah continued. While analyzing your generous offer, we took the liberty of reaching out to some of your former clients. Martinez slid a data crystal across the table. This contains evidence of systematic financial manipulation across 342 worlds. Predatory lending on a galactic scale. Most civilizations wouldn't understand these records, Nexus said smoothly. You're primitive. Northwestern University's Advanced Financial Forensics I disagrees, Sarah interrupted. As do the quantum computers at CERN and every major financial institution on Earth. Would you like to see their analysis? For the first time, genuine emotion crossed the alien's face. Fear, but that's not all. Sarah continued. She keyed in a command, and the display changed. We've made some friends of our own. The new image showed a network of worlds, smaller than the Federation's, but growing. Trading routes connected them, marked with transaction volumes that made Nexus's eyes widen. Impossible, he whispered. The Federation controls all major trade routes. Controlled, Martinez corrected. Past tense. You see, Commissioner, while you were waiting for our answer, we were building something new, something transparent. Sarah brought up the Terra Protocol specifications, a decentralized galactic trading network, no hidden fees. No predatory terms, just fair trade between willing partners. The Federation will never allow. You already have, Sarah smiled. Remember those resource rights contracts you're so fond of? We found a loophole. Article 47.3 allows for third-party arbitrage under certain conditions. Conditions we've carefully met. The color drained from Nexus's face. You can't. The computational requirements alone are well within our capabilities. Sarah finished. Earth's distributed quantum network has been handling the calculations for weeks. We've already processed over 1 million transactions. Martinez leaned forward. Which brings us to our counteroffer, Commissioner. The Federation can either adapt to the new system, or what? Nexus demanded. Sarah's finger hovered over her tablet. Or we release everything. Every predatory contract, every hidden clause, every world you've stripped bare, all broadcast simultaneously across every trading hub in the galaxy. You destroy the galactic economy. No, Sarah corrected. We would reset it. The Terra Protocol is already in place, ready to handle the transition. 300 worlds have already signed on. They're just waiting for our signal. Nexus stood abruptly, his human facade cracking. This is unprecedented. You cannot simply. We already have. Martinez interrupted. The only question is whether the Federation wants to be part of what comes next. The alien's golden eyes darted between them. The Federation Council will never agree. Then perhaps it's time for new leadership, Sarah suggested. We've been in contact with several Federation member species who find our approach refreshing. Nexus's shoulders slumped slightly. You would tear apart thousands of years of economic stability for your moral principles. Your stability was built on exploitation, Sarah replied. We're offering something better. Real stability. Real growth. She paused. And a chance for the Federation to be part of it, rather than remembered as the greatest financial fraud in galactic history. The alien was silent for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. The Federation Council will require time to consider your proposal. You have 48 hours, Martinez said firmly. After that, we broadcast everything. As Nexus departed, Sarah's tablet pinged with updates from around the galaxy. More worlds were joining the Terra Protocol every hour. The Federation's perfect system was already beginning to crack. Will they agree? Martinez asked quietly after the alien had gone. Sarah studied the economic projections flowing across her screen. They don't have a choice. The moment we exposed the truth about their system, the countdown began. The only question now is how many of their member species will abandon them before the deadline, and if they try to stop us by force. Sarah smiled grimly. Then they'll learn that economic warfare isn't the only kind humanity knows how to wage. But they won't. Their entire power structure is built on the illusion of invincibility. The moment they attack us, that illusion shatters. As night fell over Geneva, Sarah watched the Federation's massive ship through her office window. Soon, it would either be a relic of a dying empire or part of something new, something better. Either way, humanity had changed the galaxy forever. And this was only the beginning. The 48-hour deadline expired in silence. No response came from the Federation ship, but Sarah Chen wasn't worried. Her quantum networks were picking up unprecedented activity across Federation space. Look at this, she told Martinez, projecting a real-time map of galactic financial flows. Massive amounts of capital were moving, shifting between systems at faster than light speeds. They're trying to shore up their positions, and failing. The Federation's carefully constructed financial web was unraveling. As more worlds learned about the Terra Protocol, confidence in the old system was evaporating. Market by market, sector by sector, the truth was spreading. Incoming transmission, her assistant announced. Not from the Federation ship. It's coming from everywhere. The holographic display filled with faces, dozens of alien species, all Federation members. Their spokesperson, a crystalline being that shimmered with internal light, addressed Earth directly. We are the Coalition of Free Systems, it announced. Your Terra Protocol has revealed what many of us long suspected, but could never prove. We formally request membership in your new economic network. Martinez glanced at Sarah, who nodded. We welcome. He began, but another transmission cut him off. Commissioner Nexus appeared, His perfect composure finally shattered. This is an illegal action. These systems are bound by Federation contracts, which become void under Article 89.7. Sarah interrupted. In cases of systematic fraud, would you like us to enumerate the exact violations? Our eyes have catalogued several million. You don't understand what you're doing, Nexus snarled. The Federation maintains stability across thousands of worlds. Without our system, your system is a lie, the crystalline being interjected. And now everyone knows it. Across the galaxy, Federation markets were going into freefall. But wherever the Terra Protocol was activated, stability returned. The transition Sarah's team had designed was working perfectly. The Federation Council demands. Nexus tried again. The Federation Council is currently being disbanded, a new voice announced. Sarah's displays showed the Federation's capital world, where massive crowds had gathered. Several council members have already been arrested for criminal conspiracy. Nexus's human facade flickered, revealing his true form for a moment. Something ancient and wounded. What have you done? We created choice, Sarah replied simply. Something your Federation never allowed. And now, she gestured at her displays, where more systems were declaring independence every minute. The Federation's ship above Earth suddenly began to move. Global defense systems activated, but Sarah raised her hand. Wait, she said. Watch. The massive vessel was breaking apart, restructuring itself. When it finished, it had split into hundreds of smaller ships. On the main screen, a new face appeared, one of the Federation's admiral species. Earth, the admiral said, many of us have served the Federation believing we maintained peace. Now we see the truth. These ships and their crews pledged themselves to your cause. Martinez straightened. We don't want servants or subjects. The Terra Protocol is about partnership, not dominance. Then let us be partners, the admiral replied. Our knowledge of Federation space lanes and defense systems, combined with your economic framework, we could build something truly great. Sarah's quantum networks were processing the implications. The transition would be smoother with their help, she told Martinez quietly. And it sends the right message. This isn't about revenge. It's about building a better system. Across the galaxy, the old order was dissolving. But unlike the economic collapses the Federation had engineered, this one had a safety net. The Terra Protocol was handling the transaction load smoothly, its blockchain architecture preventing the very manipulation that had made the Federation's scheme possible. There will be resistance, Sarah warned as they watched the reports flood in. Some Federation hardliners won't give up easily. Let them try to fight mathematics, the crystalline being replied. Your protocol does what we thought impossible. It makes cheating harder than honest trade. As the day progressed, Earth became the center of a new galactic order. Ships arrived from hundreds of worlds, carrying economic advisors, trade delegates, and former Federation officials eager to cooperate. The quantum computers beneath the Alps worked tirelessly, processing the greatest financial transformation in galactic history. I never thought I'd see this, Nexus said quietly, watching from his now powerless ship. Thousands of years of control, undone by a species that barely understands space travel. Sarah met his golden eyes on the screen. That was your mistake. You thought technological advancement was the only measure of civilization. But humanity's greatest advances have always been in how we organize ourselves, how we cooperate, how we turn competition into progress. The Federation's former commissioner nodded slowly. What happens to us now? That depends on you, Martins replied. Earth bears no ill will toward Federation citizens. Help us build this new system, and there's a place for everyone, even former commissioners. As night fell over Geneva, Sarah stood at her familiar window. The sky was filled with ships now, representatives from across the galaxy coming to learn about the Terra Protocol. Humanity's first steps into the galactic community had sparked a revolution, not with weapons, but with transparency, fairness, and the accumulated knowledge of centuries of economic evolution. The age of the Federation was over. The age of cooperation had begun. 1 year after the fall of the Federation, Earth had changed. The Geneva skyline now featured alien architecture seamlessly blended with human design, a physical manifestation of the new galactic cooperation. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in her expanded office, watching ships from 100 worlds move through the carefully regulated space lanes above the city. Final integration reports are in, her AI assistant announced. The last Federation holdout systems have joined the Terra Protocol. The transition is complete. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The quantum displays showed a galaxy transformed. Where the Federation had built walls of complexity and secrets, the Terra Protocol had created bridges of transparency and trust. Dr. Chen. A soft chime announced a visitor. The crystalline being who had first supported Earth's revolution floated into the room, its facets refracting sunlight. The Galactic Economic Council is ready for your address. The council chamber was a marvel of collaborative engineering, a space that could accommodate every known sentient species comfortably. Sarah took her place at the central podium, facing representatives from over 1,000 worlds. 1 year ago, she began, we faced a choice. Submit to exploitation, or risk everything for change. What happened next surprised even us. She gestured, and the chamber filled with holographic data. The Terra Protocol hasn't just replaced the Federation system. It's created possibilities they never imagined. The numbers told the story. Interstellar trade had increased by 300%. Technological exchange had accelerated scientific advancement across all member worlds. Former Federation resource colonies were rebuilding, their economies diversifying under the protocol's fair trade guidelines. But our greatest achievement isn't economic, Sarah continued. It's cultural. For the first time in galactic history, we have true cooperation between civilizations. From his seat in the chamber, former Commissioner Nexus nodded slowly. After the Federation's collapse, he had become one of the protocol's strongest advocates, his insider knowledge helping to dismantle the last remnants of the old system. The Federation maintained power through division. He addressed the Council. Earth showed us a different path. They proved that transparency isn't just morally right, it's more efficient. A delegate from a newly prosperous outer rim world stood, yet some still question why we allow Earth such influence. They're centuries behind many of us technologically. Because they're centuries ahead of us in other ways, the crystalline being responded. Their financial systems, their cooperative frameworks, their ability to balance competition with collaboration. These are technologies too, perhaps the most important ones. Sarah brought up new data, which brings us to today's proposal. The Terra Protocol has stabilized our economy. Now it's time for the next step. The displays showed a new framework, one that her team had spent months developing. The Galactic Development Initiative, she announced. A program to share advancement equally across all member worlds. No more artificial barriers. No more technological hoarding. Real cooperation, powered by the economic engine we've built together. The chamber erupted in discussion. A year ago, such a proposal would have been unthinkable. But Earth had proven itself not just as an economic leader, but as a civilizing force. There will be challenges, Sarah acknowledged. Change always brings resistance. But look how far we've come in just 1 year. Imagine what we can achieve in 10. In 100. The vote was nearly unanimous. As the council chamber cleared, Martinez, now Earth's first galactic ambassador, approached Sarah. Did you ever imagine, when you first analyzed their offer, that it would lead to this? Sarah watched the streams of data flowing through her quantum network. Billions of transactions, all transparent, all fair. Ships carrying knowledge instead of exploitation. Worlds rebuilding instead of being stripped bare. No, she admitted. We just did what humanity has always done. Faced a problem, and found a better way to solve it. In orbit above Earth, the former Federation flagship had been transformed into the Galactic Exchange, a neutral trading hub where species from across the galaxy could meet and collaborate. Its halls were filled with the sounds of a dozen languages, its databases containing the combined knowledge of thousands of civilizations. As night fell over Geneva, Sarah reviewed one final report. A small note caught her eye. A message from a distant world just discovering faster than light travel. They were requesting membership in the Terra Protocol. Send them the welcome package, she told her assistant, and schedule a call. Let's make sure their first step into the galaxy is the right one. The stars shone brightly over Earth, no longer distant and unreachable, but connected by invisible bonds of trust and cooperation. Humanity had given the galaxy something it desperately needed, not advanced technology or military might, but a simple idea that progress works better when everyone moves forward together. In the end, that had been worth more than all the Federation's empty promises. The price of freedom, it turned out, was simply the courage to imagine a better way. And humanity, for all its supposed primitiveness, had always excelled at imagination.